All right, welcome to the Pops and Drops podcast.
What up, people?
This week, we are going to discuss electricity, magnetism, and gravity.
Yay.
And how to get from here to anywhere else interesting.
Anywhere but here?
No, here is
I know.
interesting. But how those three forces are related.
There's something different about you. I'm feeling different now that I found you. There's something different about you. Yeah, I'm feeling different now that I found you.
Okay, so what do you think, and tell me if you haven't even researched this or thought about it, but what do electricity, magnetism, and gravity have in common?
What does electricity, magnetism, and gravity have in common? Well, gravity and magnetism have a lot in common because those are competing forces, like physical forces. And you can supercharge a magnet so that it's stronger with electricity. So I think they're tied together, all three of them, in some sort of weird ass way that I do not know.
All right. Well, the current physics, and I don't mean the doctrinal physics. I don't mean the physics that they're still teaching in high school and college.
Yeah.
I mean sort of the cutting edge. Basically are coming to the conclusion that electricity, magnetism, and gravity are all the same thing, with one exception, and that is the fourth dimension, or time.
Okay.
So if you think about it in terms of, if you can visualize a pulse of energy, let's say, and that pulse of energy occurs nearly instantaneously or over a 1 second period or over a 1 minute period. The length of time that it takes for that event to occur.
Yeah.
If the event itself is the same force, but the length of time it takes to happen is different, that's kind of the way electricity, magnetism, and gravity are related.
Okay. So the pulse is energy.
Right.
And the longer the pulse, the more it expels energy, which,
What do you mean?
or not. So if it's like the Big Bang, right?
Which probably is not what happened, but
You don't think the Big Bang happened?
no. I think that's no.
You don't think we live in an expanding universe?
Well, we do live in an expanding universe.
And you don't think there's a point in time? So I don't even think time is a thing, but you don't think there's a point
Well, if time isn't a thing, then what do you mean expanding? Expanding relative to what?
I guess you're right. Okay. Well, explain how they're all the same thing then. Like, gravity is what sucks objects in, depending on their weight.
Mass.
Mass, yeah. Magnetism is either attraction or repellent.
Well, think about it this way. Mass, and this is going back to the cutting edge physics. Mass is nothing but the spin on the electron.
I thought it was the number of electrons that are combined.
But it would, well, if you think about it, part of this is a measurement issue. But if you've got spin, electron spins around a proton and a neutron.
Yeah.
Right? So the spin itself, which is weird because I know people think in terms of particles, and an electron may not actually be a particle.
Okay.
Right? So the spin, if let's just say hypothetically, if the spin of the electron is what creates mass,
Okay.
mass meaning something that interacts with something else.
Yeah.
If you have very few electron spins near each other
Yeah.
happening, so let's back up one more step. If you think about the ether as a universal field of energy
Yeah.
potential, let's just call it a universal field of energy potential, and where particular patterns of frequency vibration interact with each other, that's what creates electrons.
Okay.
Okay. So the higher the frequency that would create an interference pattern with another frequency to create an electron. You know how frequency is, high frequency things are closer together and low frequency they're farther apart. So higher frequencies have a higher probability of interacting with other frequency waves to create the electrons. And so as the frequency of the vibration in the universal field of energy potential increases, then you have more density.
Yeah.
And so that is things with greater mass,
Yeah.
right? Okay. The spin of an electron is itself energy potential. So that's when you think about what makes electricity,
Yeah.
that's electrons traveling down a wire or going back and forth in alternating current. So it's energy is, in that sense, energy is mass, which is what Einstein said. E equals mc squared,
yeah.
right? So gravity, since gravity is a function of mass,
Yeah.
it's essentially the amount of those electrons gathered together.
Yeah.
So the more they're together, the more, quote, gravity there is.
Yes.
But it's essentially just the energy that is the electrons.
Yeah.
So it's energy density,
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
which goes back to a discussion we had previously about the energy density of fuel sources.
Where does magnetism come in?
So magnetism is about alignment of those energies, right?
To either attract or repel?
Well, what makes something magnetic is the order they arrange the molecules to all align in the same direction, right? It's basically taking that force where gravity is more of a kind of a if you think of magnetism as a beam of gravity,
Okay.
right? Kind of directed in a specific direction because of the way that the
Yeah, that makes
molecules are aligned. So if it's all part of if it's essentially the same thing, which is different manipulations of the energy field, the ether, if you will,
Yeah.
then you should be able to use electricity to manipulate gravity
Yeah.
and magnetism. We already know you can use electricity to create magnetism.
And reality in general.
What do you mean?
Well, that's like if you can do that, you can also create anything.
Oh, right.
Like the things on the ships on Star Trek.
So fabricator,
Yeah.
yeah, potentially, for sure.
But that also has no limit. You could create a person if you understood the building block, the exact code and the exact building blocks of
Right.
XYZ. So you could also duplicate yourself.
Okay.
down to the neurons in your brain so that you could literally make a carbon copy of you instantaneously. Now, from that moment on, that it wouldn't be the same you because it would experience different things. But up until that moment, and it might not have a soul.
Okay.
But that's another.
That's a Twilight Zone episode.
But right?
Theoretically, yeah. But so if you move from the theoretical to the practical and experimental, there are people right now working on devices that manage electricity in such a way that it counteracts the effects of gravity.
Okay.
Okay.
You can fly?
Right.
Yeah.
Some of the typically, and this is more mechanical and less theoretical, but in general, there is something to do with counter rotation, kind of a gyroscopic effect. Okay.
Okay.
You know how a gyroscope works?
No.
Okay. Well, have you seen a gyroscope? Have you ever used a gyroscope before? It's you know what it is, right? It's got a wheel, like a flywheel in the middle, and you spin it up real fast and it won't fall over.
Yeah.
The way
Okay.
kind of a
Yeah.
Segway works.
Yeah.
Okay. So mechanically, there's a lot of experimental evidence that, managing inertia through flywheels can, to some degree, counteract the effects of gravity already. Otherwise, a Segway would fall over.
Yeah. So are you saying a Segway is a precursor to a UFO?
Well, a lot of the same principles are used, yeah. But that's just a very mechanical, engineering, simple way. Because gravity's, while it seems like something that we can't overcome, we've shown that we can. So this whole idea that you can't escape gravity is just silly because we have devices like Segways that show you can overcome gravity.
Yeah. And 10-ton planes that are shooting through the air.
Right. So that's a different kind of force, but exactly.
Yeah.
But in this case, there are people who are building, and I don't know why mainstream, well, we can talk about that. There are individuals in the world who are experimenting with the applications of particular electromagnetic fields and their interaction with gravity. I'm sure there's, a bunch of YouTube videos you can look at if you want to see some of these things in action. But they're, counter-rotating rings of magnets, for instance, that will lift up off the ground.
Okay.
Okay. And wouldn't be surprised if a lot of the military aircraft that Lockheed and Skunk Works have been flying for the last 20 years are using some of these principles. Anytime you see, like when the B-2 bomber first flew and the F-117A stealth fighter first took to the skies, most aeronautical engineers were scratching their head going, from what we know, that shouldn't work.
Yeah.
And I think the story they told initially was that the reason they were able to fly them was because computer technology had advanced far enough that the reaction times on the control surfaces were so fast, with the ailerons popping up and down and the rudder going back and forth to counteract the instability that would otherwise come with a plane with that design. While that may be true, I suspect there's something else going on, which is they have some anti-gravity features that don't fully counteract gravity, but make the plane, once it's taken off,
Yeah.
or as it's, speeding up, that the gravity, the inertial mass of that craft is reduced through some of these technologies. But there are, so if you think about, spinning rings, flywheels, like gyroscopic flywheels, spinning rings of magnets, neodymium usually, because those are the most powerful magnets right at this point. But with material science, if we can get materials that have a stronger magnetic effect, either at room temperature or with reasonable cooling. There's a lot of ceramics now that they're saying, will go superconductive at like negative 78 degrees Fahrenheit or something. So if you could put a ring of material, these ceramic materials that would go superconductive in achievable temperature range, get those counter-rotating and run electricity through them so that they became magnetic, with the coiling, you could create you could create magnetic forces that overcame the force of gravity.
Okay.
So that's one approach. The problem with that is to use electricity to create the magnetic fields, you have to have a source of power.
Yeah.
And if you're carrying a battery on board with you or something, then that's additional weight,
Yeah.
But if you, at the same time, if you are creating this spin on these magnetic flywheels, you're using that same spin to rotate, say, mercury at 60,000 revolutions per second in a glass tube, then that might tap into the 0 point and actually provide the electricity that you need to run the magnetic wheels.
Okay.
And then you'd have your flying saucer.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we just need somebody to.
But also don't they also believe that it might not even be about those forces, that it's about moving the space around you, not moving the object itself, but moving the actual space around you.
Okay. Well, I just described the impulse engine. Now you're on warp drive. So
Yeah.
yeah.
But that's a lot of those things that the CIA has shown the footage of, that alien crafts that is popping in and out in different places, like instantaneously in one place and then the other. It's because they actually move space around them. They don't actually move.
Right. That's the simple description of what happens. Have you seen the blueprints for the flux liner?
No.
Do you know what the flux liner is?
No, but it sounds like something out about Back to the Future. Flux capacitor.
Well, a very high voltage plasma field is called the flux.
Okay.
So, and again, that's electricity. And the flux liner designs that were accidentally leaked from, I think it was an air show in Ohio in 1988, where somebody went through the wrong door and saw these three craft, a small, medium, and large, baby bear, mama bear, and papa bear, but it was essentially the same design.
Yeah.
In different sizes. And they called them ARVs, alien reproduction vehicles, but essentially these were flying saucers that the American military industrial complex had built by reverse engineering.
Yeah.
Okay. And their design is they have the central glass tube that has some spinning mercury essentially in the middle that spins around, and they have a toroid coil at the bottom that creates the spin of the mercury, and then they have leads off the top and the bottom, and the electric flux that comes out of the 0 point then goes up to an antenna on the top and a diode on the bottom, and it creates this flux field around the craft. And they run these giant capacitors on the bottom. The base of the flux liner is capacitor panels, plates, I should say. And so they create this super high, estimated at like 1 million volts around this this craft. And that actually counteracts the effects of gravity. And also potentially time,
Yeah.
so that you can go with, because it's essentially creating this bubble, you can go from here to, Mars in a minute or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the flux liner design. You can find that online too and look it up. It's pretty cool. The issue there is that field of 1,000,000 volts around that craft ionizes the air, and it actually creates negative ions that are so powerful and so prevalent that it is dangerous to human beings. So they had to coat the outside of these craft with lead paint to protect the people on the inside.
Huh.
And they also couldn't have windows.
Yeah.
So they navigated with little video cameras.
Yeah.
But once you're inside the sphere,
Yeah.
you're protected from the ionization field that's going on outside of the craft.
That's pretty interesting.
Yeah. And I think have you seen the video of the craft that flew over Phoenix, the giant triangular craft that had like one big,
The Phoenix Lights?
whatever they,
Yeah.
So it had, as I recall, it was a triangular shape, or kind of that's not really a triangle, kind of like the Star Trek emblem, only
It was
flattened out.
it was not an equal triangle.
Yeah, well, it was a shape that actually had 4 sides,
Yeah.
not 3.
Yeah.
Kind of a delta shaped
Yeah.
craft with the one spot in the middle that was sort of the main engine, and then engines on each of the 3 corners, the outside corners. And so you could see that when it was kind of in its hover mode, it was just using the 3 outside, the smaller engines. But then when they lit up the one in the middle, the powerful one, that's when it disappeared.
Yeah.
Yeah. But a craft like that, it's got to be tapping into 0-point energy. And I think that is the primary reason why we aren't made aware from our own government that these craft exist. Now, the fact that they've come out and said UFOs are real, the federal government released all the footage, right?
Yeah.
The implications,
CIA released it, didn't they?
Defense Department,
Yeah.
but the implications of that people aren't really talking about is that extraterrestrial craft to travel to this planet have to have a power supply that is 0 point. There is no fuel source that would have enough stored energy. Like a nuclear powered UFO wouldn't have enough power to travel from here to there.
Yeah.
It has to be a 0-point energy source.
Yeah.
And if we reproduce that, through creating these flux liners, if we reverse engineered alien technology and built working models, which, there's a growing body of evidence that that's what these are. The Phoenix Lights and the flux liner, these are all things that the U.S. government military industrial complex built based on alien technology. That means our military industrial complex knows how to create a 0-point energy engine.
Yeah.
And releasing that information to the general public and allowing people to build them would end our reliance on fossil fuels.
Yeah. And that's why they don't do it.
And that's why they don't do
Yeah.
it.
It's all about money, which is ridiculous.
It's criminal.
Yeah.
That's why we have a criminal federal government, because they are holding this information secret.
And this is probably,
benefit-
and that's just probably the tip of the iceberg
to
of things that they
benefit
know.
the oil company executives, the people who donate to their frickin' political campaigns.
Yes, but eventually, as more and more people understand and see this, and it's released, there's gonna be a day where it's the whole system crumbles. There has to be,
Wednesday?
like probably in 10 years.
That's too long.
It's
It needs to be next year.
well, okay.
If you can create the universe you want to live in.
Okay. Next year, the U.S. government is going to release all this stuff, and aliens are going to be like, "What's up? Here's all the stuff. We've been here the whole time."
Well, yeah, they say these I mean, obviously, if you look at the historical record and you look at the Renaissance paintings and even wall cave art from 30,000 years ago, yes, the extraterrestrials have been here all along.
And they're here. I think they're living amongst us.
Okay. I don't know why they would. If you were a zoologist at the zoo, would you live with the gorillas?
Jane Goodall did.
For a time, I guess.
Yeah. If I went to an alien planet, even if it was aliens that were like below us intellectually, but still could communicate and still had a society, I would love to go and hang out with them for, and especially if I can travel the galaxy so my lifespan is much longer, I would go. I think it'd be very interesting. I think it'd be really cool. Maybe aliens like to just chill out and watch Netflix. You don't know. You don't know, right?
Oh God, I can come up with a holiday.
I also think that
last episode we talked about a potential Netflix show. The Europeans.
Yeah.
The Europeans or
Yeah.
whatever we said. Europans.
I think
This would be a better Netflix show.
what? Aliens just watching Netflix?
No, where aliens vacation on Earth.
Oh yeah, they totally do. That's a thing. I honestly think that we are like a TV show to them.
Reality TV for aliens.
Yeah.
Only it's an immersive experience.
They're like, look at all the crazy ass shit that they're doing.
The
down
show
there.
opens at the travel agency on Alpha Centauri or wherever.
Yeah.
And they're talking about the different vacation packages. You can hang out with the people in the United States, and here's what their features and attributes
Yep.
are. You can go and hang out with the people in Madagascar.
Yeah.
That's weird.
I think they're here. I mean, I know that they're here, but I also think that they're watching us. I mean, I know they're watching us.
And laughing.
And laughing. Yeah. They're like, look at those crazy monkeys down there.
We're the alien version of swamp people.
Pretty much. Yeah. We are. I do believe that we are the Alabama of the universe. I also believe that there's aliens that don't even.
No offense to all of our friends and fans in Alabama. That's just the stereotype.
Yeah. I also think that there are some aliens that don't even want to stop here for gas. That's
Yeah.
They're like, we're not going to Earth. I don't care if it's on the way to Disney World or whatever. We're not stopping at Earth. We're not stopping at Earth. Not even for gas.
Yeah. That's funny. Okay.
That's why we're not a part of the Federation already, is because we're not ready.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just mentally, because there's wars and all that, and we're fighting over resources and all that stupid shit. But I think that
our own government is keeping the secret of 0 point energy from us.
Yes, that's just one of them. And there's all. I think spiritually too, they don't think we're ready to know all. And I don't even think that they know all. I don't even think that the aliens know all. There's so much that
Sure.
we, I mean, just in our observable universe is so big, and it's probably only a fraction.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that you could, and if you just shot straight up from Earth, or go in Earth in any direction for billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of light years, I think it would just keep going. It's so big, there can't be a wall.
Yeah. But it's pointless to even contemplate that.
I think that's the stuff that they're contemplating. So why not? What's pointless about it? Like it might be
Like
a
you
thing,
said, it's infinite.
but it might be a giant circle. It might, or it's one that we can't conceive. So you shoot up, you go billions and billions and billions and billions up, you go through millions and bazillions of galaxies, and then you come up the bottom.
Oh, so you're not a flat earther, but you're a flat universer.
No, not flat universe. Round universe.
Okay.
Like with like a cycle universe.
Sounds like a flat universe to me.
I'm saying there is no edge. There is no edge. Like flat earthers think that there's an edge, like you fall off. I'm saying you just keep going. There's no, and you might come around to the back.
Okay, so you're
A cycle universe. Though.
you're a planetary universe.
Oh my God.
You think all of the galaxies exist on the surface of a sphere. But that sphere is expanding.
Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just a microbe.
Yeah. I mean, that's one humbling thing about thinking about stuff like that is you do realize
How tiny.
how tiny and insignificant any one of us is. But at the same time, if we're souls and we're connected to the universal consciousness, then we're a part of God too.
Yeah, and so are ants.
Yes.
Everything.
Oh, my head hurts thinking about this stuff.
That's the shit that runs through my head nonstop, 24/7.
Yeah. But that's the one thing I mean, that sitting on a mountaintop in Tibet contemplating things like that is fine. You won't ever get the answer.
No.
So if you have a life to live and
It's about enjoying the little things.
incorporated yourself, you incarnated into a human body with a purpose, like we were saying before, if coming and living a life on earth is like a day at the gym,
Yeah.
then sitting on a mountaintop in Tibet and contemplating an infinite question is like going to the gym and sitting in the lobby and reading a book.
Yeah. Or the juice bar.
Or the juice bar. You go to the gym to work out, not to sit in the lobby and read a book. So live your damn life.
Yeah. Find your passion.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, at best, you're going to be here for 115 years.
Unless the pill comes along.
Whatever, right? Immortality pill. But that would be now see, your analogy of a life on earth as a human, as a day at the gym for your cosmic soul is a perfect analogy. And I'm going to use that again in the future. Taking your immortality pill is like getting locked in the gym at night.
No, it's not.
Yes,
it's
is.
just staying for another hour.
You said immortality.
Yeah, well, eventually, maybe it's running the gym. Or like,
It's like getting locked in the gym at night.
I don't want to live forever, ever, ever, ever. Like, there's got to, but like maybe 500 years of 400 of them, I'm like 29. And I got to see in this life and experience in this life as much as in this universe, as much as I want to. Like, the other thing is that we have no idea what's on the other side. Like, okay, so if coming to Earth is like a gym, you could, like another life, you could go to a universe, not even a humanoid universe. You could go to a universe where everything is like bizarro or negative or like, I don't know.
Right, but you would be choosing to go there.
Yeah. Yeah. But maybe I chose to come here at this point so that I could get the pill in the first place so that I could live for 500 years.
Okay,
You know?
maybe.
Right?
possible.
Why would I choose to come here if the thing is available in my lifetime? There's a reason why I came here, so that it would be available in my lifetime.
Point well made.
Bingo. It's not like getting locked in the gym. It's just staying a couple extra hours, getting some more reps in.
Okay. Well, I guess.
I want to go to other planets, man, in this life.
Why? Why in this life?
Because I want to. I want Chancellor Adam MacArthur Moore to set foot on like another planet and chill with aliens. Like hang out with them.
Those are not mutually exclusive. You could chill with aliens here.
I want to shoot through the cosmos. I want to be in a spaceship. I want to go and see other planets. Like really bad.
Why?
Because I think it would be cool, man.
Okay.
You don't think it would be cool? Don't you think it would be cool?
I don't think it would be cool to be cramped in a SpaceX rocket for a month to get to Mars.
No. I don't want to, no. I'm talking like aliens coming down and being like, yo, you want to take a cruise ship to another galaxy? That kind of stuff. Okay. It's going to take like 100 years, but it's a good thing that you got the pill so that you can be 29. And you can have a whole other life just on the cruise ship. And then when you're on the other planet, you can have a whole other life. And then you can even come back and see what Earth is like in like 200 years after you left.
Yeah, but why not just stretch that out over multiple lifetimes? And then you got different parents and you got different, spouses and all kinds of other new experiences. And you can actually reevaluate what your soul really needs when you go and cross over and do the thing that's more in need for your soul to grow. Like,
because
I think
maybe I've already done that in my past lives or in future lives. Maybe I want to experience it physically. And that's the whole point.
I know, but what I'm saying is you would have that choice.
What?
You choose the life that you lead.
Yes.
When you're a spirit, soul, whatever, and you're in coming to live here now.
Yeah.
You made that choice.
Yes.
So if you have that choice.
Yes.
Then it seems like it's a lot easier to get on your galactic cruise liner the next time you die. Just choose to do that when you're reincarnated.
But I want to do that now.
Right. And you'll still want to do that when if that option does not become available to you without locking yourself into this body and this time frame for whatever, 500 years. It just seems like one of those decisions that people make because they think it's their only option. And it turns out not to be their only option. And it turns out not to be the better option.
I think giving myself until 2050, I'll have a lot of time to think about whether or not I want to take a eternity pill.
Okay.
And that may be another reason why I chose this life, is so that I can weigh the pros and cons and understand. I also think that if I was born in like 2049 and then I decided to take the pill, then that would be different because I wouldn't be able to appreciate it. It's just like the internet now. Like I feel like I appreciate it more because I was around before it.
Okay. Well, that brings up another issue. Because if there is a generation of people that remember what it was like to have that option created during their lifetime,
yeah,
they're going to have a different regard for it than the people born, like you said, in 2049, where it's just normal part of everyday life.
Just like I'm on all the technology that I have now.
Yeah.
Every generation has new technology that the generation before it saw being birthed. Every generation.
Mm-hmm. Just seems when you start messing around with stuff like that, that's when you invite the wrath of God.
I'm pretty sure they probably said that about TV. And they said that about the internet. And they said that about guns and cars. And it's just another invention.
Yeah, it's not. It's different. Something, a medical innovation that reverses the aging process and locks you physically at 29 years old for 500 years is hardly the same thing as inventing television.
From your perspective,
Okay, well, go for it. I'm just saying the aliens are probably laughing.
why? They probably have the technology.
They probably don't.
Oh, they definitely do. They definitely do. They definitely do. Or they have the ability to download their consciousness into a being, into a like a cybernetic being,
Why?
so that they can see the cosmos.
They can see the cosmos. That's my point. If you really believe in your heart of hearts that you have a soul
Yeah.
and your consciousness, your individual consciousness survives your death, then the idea of locking your individual consciousness into a form beyond its normal lifespan.
The human being's lifespan has expanded ever since the beginning. Like, there were people who died in the middle, like the average lifespan of the Middle Ages was like 40. It's just
Of this cycle.
what?
Remember, we talked about last week, we talked about there being multiple cycles since the Earth was formed.
Yeah.
And that in prior cycles, we talked about there being giants, like there's physical evidence of giant. We don't know what their lifespan was.
Yeah.
So right now.
But also before the flood, there were stories of kings and stuff living thousands of years.
Yeah. If that was true, then maybe that's why God caused the flood, because he didn't want people sticking around on Earth for 900 years.
Okay. But God is all of us. So, like, come on now.
All right. I know it's probably in the grand scheme of, geologic and space-time, the difference between 100 years and 500 years is nothing.
That's what I'm saying. It's just staying at the gym an extra hour.
Yeah. But I'm saying if maybe the people that, I guess the other way to think about it is once that technology becomes available on this planet and people are taking pills that let them live to 500 years, the people that decide to incarnate on this planet during that time period would know that ahead of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said at the beginning of this. I was like, what if I chose to come here right when that got invented on purpose, but I still had it didn't happen right away. So I still got to live, because in 2050, I'm going to be 72. Like, I'm going to be old.
Okay.
And if I'm 72 and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can be 29 again. Hell yeah, man.
Okay.
Let's do this. Let's do this.
You say that now.
I might not want. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Maybe I chose this life to give myself that option.
Yeah.
But I think that I'm going to want to take it.
Okay. You don't think by the time you're 72, you won't think I've done enough on this planet?
I don't think I'm ever going to think like I did enough. I don't think I'm ever going to. I never feel like I've done enough. I don't think there's a mountain high enough I could climb. I don't think I'll ever be. There's too much to do that I'll ever feel like I've done enough. There's just too much to do. There's too many songs to make. There's too many adventures to go on.
In other words, you'll never be satisfied with your life.
No. And I'm glad.
That's sad.
No, I'm glad. It's not about being sad. Like, I'm happy. It's not about not being happy. It's just about constantly moving the goalpost. Like,
okay. Well, it's fine to do that as long as you don't stress about it.
I don't stress about it. I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm cool, man. I just want to see as much as I possibly can, go as many places as I possibly can go, do as many things as I possibly can do. All
right. Well, I mean, yeah.
I think that's what life is. It's the universe's way of viewing itself through a particular shell.
Yeah. And I'm saying the more places you go and the more things you do, the more you realize it's pretty much all the same
On this planet,
on this planet.
yeah. So if I live and I can take the pill and then they're like, you want to go see another planet, bro? I'm going to go.
Okay. But essentially that you might just be trying to circumvent death. Like if the process of dying and incarnating in a new body in a new place is a way to travel and see other planets, currently and in the future, you think heaven's going to stop working once they
No.
invent the immortality pill?
I don't think that. No.
Okay. So what I'm saying is you're trying to physically in this plane on this planet trying to recreate the process that heaven has already figured out. Getting your consciousness to a new planet.
Yeah. So?
Okay, I'm just saying the hubris of man oftentimes comes with unforeseen consequences.
Okay.
The one thing that I would find interesting to learn before I leave this planet is what the hell is under the ice in Antarctica.
Oh, there's a whole civilization, the lost civilization there.
Yep.
They have done geological like satellites shot. There was like cavern. They think that there could be like a whole city, like whole cities there.
Yeah. I want to see it.
Well, okay. When I make enough money as a DJ, we can go down to Antarctica.
Oh,
I
I don't think you can.
Yeah, you can. Not right now, but like I applied for a bartending gig down there.
What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
You can go and work in Antarctica. And they have bartenders. They have one bartender. I didn't get the job.
Oh, jeez.
But they have like a science station down there with people, and you can go and work and live in Antarctica. You have to go for like a year though.
Yeah.
But
Interesting.
you didn't know about that? There's a whole Discovery Channel thing on it. That's how I found out about it. And on Discovery Channel, they had like a thing at the end. They're like, if you ever want to go work in Antarctica, follow this link. And there was an opening for a bartender. And it was right after I got my bartending license. And I was like, dude, down. But I didn't get it. I didn't even get like an email back. They weren't like, sorry.
Too many people watch the Discovery Channel show. They probably had 1 million applications for the one bartender opening in Antarctica. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, if I can't get down there myself, at least global warming is melting some of the ice.
It literally is. That's what they're saying, is that it's revealing structures. And there's definitely something going on in Antarctica. Definitely. And what I think could have been is like because Antarctica also didn't used to be cold.
Yes, correct. It was part of the supercontinent and it was closer to the equator.
Yeah. So there could have been a civilization there, and then the continent broke off, and then it went down there and froze over. But they also think that there could be caverns inside where it's not cold.
Well, not too cold to survive.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's cold.
Yeah.
Because if you live in a cavern that's heated by geothermal activity, it's warm enough to keep it a cavern, instead of being solid ice. What's above you is still ice.
Yeah, that's true.
So instead of like on Earth, when you go from the ground level to mountain level, it gets colder.
Yeah.
So it'd be the opposite. It would be warm at the ground from the geothermal and colder as you went up. I guess that's the same.
Yeah.
Never mind. Never mind. But you would be traveling. Yeah, it's the same.
They've seen that there's like pyramids and stuff, and didn't they?
Yes.
And they've also seen there's also pyramids on Mars. They've identified pyramids that they think are buried on Mars.
Yeah, we need to figure out what's going on with all these pyramids. Like, what were they for?
Yeah. Well, they could
and here's what I don't understand. Okay. Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, they're floating around with $1 billion or multi-billion dollars. Why haven't they recreated one of these pyramids, even on a scaled down version, just to see in a pristine new condition?
Yeah.
If they replicated all the same materials, the white limestone on the outside, the gold cap on top, the king's chamber, the queen's chamber, the subterranean chamber that's at Giza, with water flowing under the ground, they could find land somewhere that had the same kind of...
But it would also have to be in line.
Oh, yeah, it would have to be on a ley line, right? On one of the magnetic lines. But I think when we were originally shopping for this property, that's one of the things I was looking at. Were there any places that had those ley line intersections like they have in all of the, the special places? And there weren't any in Oregon. But I think there's some in Northern California. But anyway, there are places in the United States that are land available for sale.
Yeah.
Where they have those, they have those magnetic lines, ley lines crossing.
So why haven't the billionaires built giant pyramids?
Not even giant. Just a scale model to try and understand the technology of the pyramids.
Yeah.
Now, I will say part of the issue is the places that I saw in the United States where those ley lines crossed did not have the subterranean water that they had at Giza when the Nile was closer to where the pyramids were built. Anyway, finding a spot that has all of those, features and attributes might be a little bit difficult.
Yeah, but there's probably definitely they're there.
Right. Or could be created. I mean, you could, in fact, if you had enough money, and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates obviously do, you could create the subterranean water aquifer system.
Yeah.
Right? Before you built the pyramid on top of it.
Well, if you're listening, Bill Gates
do it.
And Jeff Bezos, there's your next project.
I mean, that'd be for no other, maybe Disney. For no other reason, it'd be an awesome tourist attraction.
Yeah.
Come see this giant glowing. What would be funny is if it turned out to be like a giant Tesla tower that was shooting electricity into the sky.
That's what they think it probably was.
Yeah.
Do you know about all the Tesla, the like 10 Tesla things that the government won't let us know that he invented? Like he invented a field generator that could completely like cover the United States.
Yeah.
So that if a missile was shot at the United States, it would literally hit a wall of energy and dissipate. And he also invented that there's his assistants, and there's many papers on the he invented some machine that could cause earthquakes, like massive earthquakes.
Yeah, he shook a building. I remember that.
Yeah. And he told his assistants not to tell anybody about it, and he destroyed it because he was like, this, I don't even think he meant to create it, and he made it. And then he was like, this is way too dangerous for anybody to know.
Well, I think he was on the roof of the building that he almost shook apart.
Yeah.
When he started running this resonator.
But there's like 10 other inventions that the government is hiding that we just have through rumors from papers from his like assistants who also worked in the building or whatever. I think he was probably an alien. Or something, or he tapped in. He had to have tapped in. Him and Leonardo da Vinci. Like, Leonardo da Vinci designed an airplane. Like, way before the Wright brothers. Way before. Hundreds of years.
Yeah. I don't know that it necessarily would have worked. But he definitely had a vision for it. And what about Nostradamus?
Yeah. He predicted everything.
So there's, the Mayan priests.
Yeah, let's hope that, like, there's a rumor going around that they didn't actually mean 2001, they meant 2021.
2012, you mean?
Or 2012, yeah, the numbers were flipped.
No, that's not right.
Well, the Julian, because they weren't going off the Julian calendar, so it wasn't 2012 to begin with, even in the first place.
Right.
But I don't know what year it actually was, but it wasn't. We were basing it off the Julian calendar, not the actual Mayan calendar. We were taking the Mayan calendar and applying it to the Julian calendar, which doesn't compute, like it doesn't line up the same way.
Right, but it's not off by that much.
No.
I think we passed. It may have been in 2013 or 2014.
Yeah.
When you add back the 4 days or whatever that are missing from the cycle.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, I'm not too worried about, because we did have a reset.
Yeah. You think we had a global reset?
Don't
global
you?
awakening?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at us.
What do you mean, look at us?
We're doing a podcast
Yeah.
and we are talking about electrogravitics, 0-point energy, souls and spirits, immortality, the pros and cons of immortality. These are not the kind of conversations that people in the disco era were having.
No, that is very true. But it might be the type of conversations people in the disco era were having, like down in Brazil, where they were doing ayahuasca and tapping into that sort of stuff. But globally, I think, yes, the world has awoken and people are much more aware of what is going on and what.
Yes.
But also, I think we only know a tiny, tiny fraction of what is actually going on. We still have no idea.
When you say what's going on, what do you mean? Just like all the stuff the government's keeping secret from
That's
us?
that and the nature of reality and existence in the first place.
Yeah. Yes. Well, connecting through the internet and creating a hive mind is moving us forward very much quicker than we otherwise would have.
Yeah. Would you get Neuralink installed?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not interested.
Why?
Because I don't want to alter my physical being.
Oh, so you wouldn't have any cybernetics
No.
installed?
I don't have tattoos. I don't have piercings. Like, I'm not into altering this vessel. It was created by me before I was born, right?
Uh-huh. So you chose. So
I chose
You're
this.
consciously choosing now, but you also chose before. So I consciously chose before that I was going to have a vessel that I'd be open to having cybernetics installed. Then
I'm not
By that
judging.
same-
I'm not judging. You asked me if I was going to get it.
Okay. So you're not going to take the pill that makes you immortal, and you're not going to get Neuralink, which connects you to
Nope.
information instantaneously.
Nope. I'm a Homo sapien sapien.
Okay.
I don't need to go be a Homo sapien robotus, or whatever they would call it. Homo sapien robotus. I just coined a new term.
Homo sapien robotus. I think I would. If NeuroNet was available to me, I would get it installed. I think it would be really cool. I think that I'd be able to make music without having to actually. I think that I could plug it in to my. If I don't even know what the capabilities are, but if I could translate the actual music that's going on in my head out there, like just mentally, that would be dope.
Okay.
Or if the NeuroNet had the ability to monitor and display dreams. But that's another thing. Like, I think when you dream, I think you go to another plane.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that might be like another reality that we're tapping into in our dreams, which is why sometimes, I dream things, and then it happens like exactly the way that I dreamed it, like a week prior. Like, that's been happening to me since I was like 10.
There are I saw a documentary about remote viewing, if I can remember what it was called. I don't remember the name. But it chronicled the activities of the CIA using remote viewing, kind of the history across since the 50s when they started doing this stuff. And Hal Puthoff and the guy that the documentary was actually about, which unfortunately I don't remember his name now. But they, when the remote viewing started, they had found one or two people who were remarkable at it. But they were also academic researchers. So they were trying to figure out, like, was this just an anomaly where there's these one or two, Long Island medium kind of people. But it turned out that something when they were doing testing, they would randomly select people to come in and get tested and do remote viewing exercises and stuff. Something like 80% of the population
has the ability,
could do it.
Yeah.
And about 20% did it as well as anybody else.
Yeah.
If 1 in 5 people has the ability to do remote viewing,
yeah,
or has that, connection,
yeah,
and you have these dreams that come true, you're somehow probably tapping into that same kind of field or alternative timeline that would allow you to do remote viewing.
Yeah. I believe I can do that. I mean, I've also astral projected.
So yeah, well, that's the same. You might be like one of the best remote viewers in the world. You should get tested.
Okay. How do you get tested?
I don't know.
I'll look into how to get
the
tested.
CIA
for
would
remote
probably
viewing.
pay you some big dough to go spy on the Russians.
Okay.
To astral project over to Beijing and see what the Chinese are up to.
Yeah. Well, I was only really able to truly do it powerfully once.
Yeah. Well, I know there's like a remote viewing academy or something where you can train to do it.
Yeah.
So, anyway. Wow. We have some interesting conversations. And some funktastic adventures.
Yep. Speaking of which. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to play The Funktastic Adventure of Chancellor Mack, which is one of my older songs I released a while back, but it's pretty funky. And it is, it's just weird and it's out there. I really like it. I really like the beat.
All right, here it is. We'll see you next week.
Adios.
Closer. Here we go.
Don't lose your chance.